Welcome to the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. For group exercise junkies and enthusiastic classgoers, we'll explore and uncover authentic, thought-provoking, and heartwarming industry education and inspiration from entertaining, badass fitness pros. And now your host, creator of Warrior Rhythm, Warrior Strength, Warrior Combat, Warrior Revolution, and Warrior Kids Group fitness brands, Ellen DeWord. Here we grow.
Welcome, everybody. I'm really excited because today we get to go on a journey together. We get to meet someone new. Today I have Debbie Gleeson on. Hi, Debbie.
Hello.
Nice to meet you for the first time ever.
Nice to meet you too, Ellen.
Yeah. So Debbie and I have never met, but we're colleagues. And so it's in some ways such a small world. And so without even having met, I just know we have things in common with one another. And this episode, which is going to be about the power of manifestation, really was kind of, I guess, instigated, for lack of a better word, by Steve, someone in your life that I met and thought you would be a great guest. So I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you.
Where do you live?
So I live in the East Bay, in California. I'm right over the Bay Bridge from San Francisco.
Hi.
Yeah, so I work in Berkeley and live in El Cerrito.
So we're in the same
Where do you live?
time zone. I'm in Oregon, so I'm a West.
Oh, okay.
So we're in the
We're the same. Okay.
same time zone, but it was very hard, audience, for us. We've been trying to schedule a podcast for like 5 months, so we got it down because you're busy and I'm busy. So speaking of you being busy, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're a mom, right? You have a couple boys, and so tell us a little bit about you. You live in California.
Yeah. Well, I guess I could start with I am a mom of, they're not boys anymore. They're still my boys, but they're 25 and 27 beautiful men. So they've been on this journey with me also, growing up into the fitness industry. So yeah, mama two boys. I currently work for Equinox. I've been a group fitness manager for their Berkeley club for 6 years now. And it's not I guess that is my primary, but I also have been working with other companies outside, like Stick Mobility, IntelliRoll, Liebert Fitness. But that's my primary job. I manage a group fitness department and teach a lot of classes
At Equinox. So I want to say something for the sake of our audience that possibly might not know about Equinoxes. You probably do, but we don't have Equinox here in Eugene because we're not like a big town, Equinox is like highly reputable. Like whenever I hear of an instructor that teaches at an Equinox, I know that they are a top tier level instructor. So how did you get involved with them?
Absolutely.
Is that true? Like that's how I feel about Equinox. Do you agree with that? Like they're high end.
Yes, it is definitely a luxury brand club. There's 109 of them now across the country, and they're in Canada and some in London. So it is, I would say Equinox is the top tier level of luxury clubs. If you get a chance, look at their new brand marketing. It's insane. They're very edgy club, but also it's a corporate company, and a lot of people that work for Equinox end up staying there a long time. They make it their career. And that's how, when I ended up working here, I thought, okay, I plan on retiring. I've worked for many clubs and many studios. This to me was like, okay, I'm Equinox. I'm a manager now. This is my job. This is my career now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
like the creme de la creme. It's the top.
Yes.
There's no more climbing the ladder. Like this is
I feel like, I don't know where, I know we have competitors. There's other clubs there's a lot of luxury gyms. I've been in the industry long enough to know though that Equinox is definitely at the top. And I fell into it. I was actually scouted by them.
Really?
Just networking, and this is part of the manifestation thing,
Yeah.
just networking in the business, meeting people through fitness conventions. I connected with somebody who worked for Equinox for a while, and 7 years ago, I guess now, sent me a text and just said, "Hey, we want to talk to you." And you might even know who he is, Jeff McMullen. Does that
Oh,
name?
the name rings a bell. And I'm sorry if everyone can hear my dog barking, but everyone should know that I have a new puppy and it's going to happen. So it is happening right now. I don't know why. Jeff McMullen, that name rings a bell. Okay, so
He's been in the fitness industry forever. Going to fitness conventions over the years, the past probably like, I guess, 15 plus years, I would take workshops, and a lot of these presenters worked for different companies, but their primary job was, oh, I work for Equinox. I'm a manager, I'm an instructor. So that's how I started learning about Equinox and thinking, wow, what is this Equinox Club? Started following them and just going, wow, this place is kind of crazy. Some of their marketing, I'd be like, whoa, very edgy, very aggressive.
Exactly.
So I actually was scouted by them, but it was a year's worth of, they usually hire within, they usually promote from within, but they were in need for, they were going to open up a group. They were thinking about, this was pre-pandemic. So they were looking at possibly opening a club in Marin County where I lived at the time. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Bay Area, but Marin County, East Bay, South Bay, San Francisco. So they were looking for somebody who knew the culture there, had been in the business a lot, new instructors, somebody that they could bring in that could bring in the top instructors if they opened up one in Marin. And so they started talking to me, and I was living in Marin at the time. So I was like, this is amazing. After a few interviews with the West Coast regional at the time, they said to me, hey, come on in, come to Berkeley. We want to talk to you more. And I'm like, oh, great. Are you open your Marin County club? And they're like, actually, we want to talk to you about Berkeley. And this was a major commute for me to go to Berkeley. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, just come in and talk. So they offered me right there. They said, we would like you to take over Berkeley, because Jeff was leaving and moving in to be a regional. So I have to say it was an amazing transition. It was it was just a no-brainer. I was like, I can't turn this down.
No way. Well, first of all, two things. One, anyone who's listening that actually knows me knows that I don't know I don't know geography. So no, I don't know. I vaguely know the Bay Area. I certainly don't know where. I just basically know that California is south of me. So I'm familiar a little bit with the Bay Area. But I was going to ask you, so how big of a commute? Because I thought everywhere in California, it's the 205. Isn't everywhere you go a big commute, even if it's just like 10 miles away? How big of a commute was it?
It was, working full time, going over a bridge. It could take up to an hour.
Yeah.
So, I know that's kind of normal here in the Bay Area, but I was used to, for 15 years, working for another club that was 3 minutes from my house.
Oh, okay.
I was very spoiled. And so the thought of, I knew what I was in for. So yeah, it was starting, it got wearing, it's a wearing commute, but,
Did you listen to podcasts or music or plan classes?
Yes, I started listening to
phone
a lot of
calls
audio books.
Yeah.
A lot of books on manifestation.
I don't mind.
Self-help books. I need help. Get me through this.
I don't mind driving places. I don't have like a routine commute like that in my life, but I'm someone that is not averse to a long commute, because I do think there's productive ways we can fill our time and our head in the car. So
I did, but at the last 2.5 years or more now, I'm 10 miles from work. I had a big change in my life. And so now I live closer.
Okay.
So that was back then. So it was a big decision.
So you navigated the pandemic with this group of Equinox, and how big is your team of instructors?
I have 32.
Okay,
32
that's not
instructors.
monstrous. Okay.
Yeah,
32. Okay.
32, 104 classes a week on
I
the
was
schedule.
literally just going to ask how many classes you have a week. Okay, so that is a lot of classes. So your instructors must be teaching a lot.
Multiple, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's because that's an interesting ratio. It's not a lot of instructors, but it is a lot of classes. So,
Yeah. It's
well,
interesting.
cool. So, so yeah, tell us a little bit. And you just talked about a little bit about networking. And before we started recording today, Debbie, you said that you thought you had seen me, and we probably have because
Yeah.
I'm doing the same dance as you. I have kids the same age. I have 3 kids that are 24 to 27.
Oh, okay.
A daughter's 25. So boys on either side.
Wow.
So yeah, we're
We're right there.
yeah, we're living parallel lives, but we just met today. I'm no longer doing group fitness management, but had been up until I don't know, last year. Decided
Okay.
I needed to go full time into what I'm doing to try to catch my breath. But
Yeah.
okay, more about you. So talk to us about like the power of manifestation. Talk to me and my puppy about the power of manifestation.
Yeah, let's see your puppy.
Oh, he's so cute. Do you want to see? Hold
Yeah,
on.
I do want to see. I miss my puppy. I lost my dog a couple years ago, so
Ew, that I lost
oh,
my baby 2 years ago too. Look at him. He's a
oh, beautiful.
he's a
Now,
sweetie.
what kind of dog is that?
Um, he's a whippet. So
Oh yeah,
like
okay.
mini greyhounds, they're
Yeah.
so there's greyhounds and then that are large, and then there's Italian greyhounds that are itty bitty, and whippets are in the middle, but all 3 breeds look the same. They have the same sort of
Yeah,
proportion.
the lean. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
cute.
yeah.
Oh.
I mean, some people would say ugly, but I think they're cute.
Well, I had a Boston Terrier and yeah, my friends would say she's so ugly. And I'm like, no, she's beautiful. She's perfect.
Um, is this the one that you lost 2 years ago?
Yes. Yeah. She was 14. Yeah. So one
So,
day I'll get it.
Debbie, my dog I lost 2 years ago was 14. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
And so this is
interesting.
like I was like not ready until just that he's new. Like I just got him a couple months ago.
Oh, well, good for you. I'm hoping to get another dog someday. So
Anyway,
how should I start?
more about fitness and more about manifestation.
How should I? Okay, so this is a hard one to how to snip it. How
Yeah.
should we start this with the manifestation? How would you
Okay.
recommend it?
Well, let's see.
I'm
So
old. So it's been a long career.
so how do you feel like you talked about you would like how did you how did networking and like I don't know what is
Okay. Well, I
manifest?
guess I could start with just where I started, which was I got back into the fitness industry a lot later in life. I did it through college back in the aerobics days, and that was a side job for me. And then took a big long break after college, having my sons, decided to stay home. I mean, I guess I'm going to give away my age here, but at this point, this is my confession. Maybe you could start piecing it together. But I actually started in my early 40s, like right back. I mean, I think I was 40 when I decided to go back to work, went to Rolling Hills, the place that was 3 minutes from my house. I was like, okay, I need to make some extra money.
Wait, hold on. Were you 40 when not when you started teaching?
When I got back into teaching.
Oh, when you got back. Wait, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. So
yeah,
okay, I missed that. Sorry, I missed that.
that's
And
okay.
I think it's because my animals are going crazy and I'm worried that they're going to be a distraction. Okay, so hold on, back up. Please back up. When did you start teaching?
So I got back into fitness when I kind of just stepped back into it right about 40.
Okay.
And during college, in my early 20s and all that, I was teaching fitness classes at like Family Fitness,
Okay.
aerobics back in the day,
Okay.
right?
That's
So,
okay. So you got back into it in your 40s. Okay.
yes, and that was just that's how it all began. It was me walking up to this club saying, "Hey, I want a job. I just wanted something just to keep me busy while my kids were like in grade school. So they actually hired me as a spa coordinator. I didn't know anything about this was a luxury club, or is a luxury club that is still in Novato. And I just started getting the itch again when I was like working in the spa, but seeing all these fitness classes going on around me. And it's an aquatics, tennis, fitness. And so I took my first spin class back then, a cycle now, whatever we call it, cycle at Equinox, but it was spin. And I hated it. I was like, oh my God, this is awful. This is awful. I couldn't walk for a few days, and
Oh yeah.
the instructor, and her name is Debbie also. And she's like, just come back again. Come back again. Let's get your fit right. Did it again. And I was like, walked out of the second class and I was like, I want to teach this.
Oh,
I want to teach it. So that was my first certification back in fitness. I did my Schwinn certification, and started teaching cycle at Rolling Hills. And then I just started getting the itch to do more. And that's when I attended SCW a year later after teaching cycle for a year. And I wanted to teach dance. I was like, I want to do dance because that was my background also. And I was like, okay, Zumba's the craze. I'm going to do Zumba. But then there was this other course offered, and I don't know if you've heard of it, Flirty Girl Fitness.
I have heard of Flirty Girl.
Yeah. There was another course offered called Flirty Girl Fitness. And I'm like, how stupid is that name?
Oh, I love that name.
So at the time I was like, I don't know, but I read the description and I was like, I have a feeling this is going to be my jam. And so do you know Mindy Milray?
Yes.
So she was with Xavier Fitness. They took on this dance fitness. They launched it called Flirty Girl Fitness.
Yes.
And I fell in love with it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to teach this. So went and got certified with Mindy, started teaching it in the Marin County and Sonoma County. I started expanding to different areas, and people were just loving it. So that's really how my career kind of launched. It was cycle, then dance, and Flirty Girl Fitness was a big part of it. I ended up becoming one of their master trainers. I ended up presenting at SCW for them. So it grew fast, and I'm jumping a lot but I want to say this was where the manifestation starts coming in, because I was just at a point where I'm in my 40s. What am I going to, this is a really hard business to get into and make a career of, as we all know. You have to really hustle, do a lot. You have to be all over the place. I have 2 young boys. How am I going to do this? And I guess I was blessed in a way where I did at the
Were
time.
you a single mom, if you don't mind?
No.
No,
So
okay.
at the time, that's where I'm divorced now from my husband, but at the time, I was able to do that. So I feel that was where my luck came in.
Yeah.
That I was able to, like, he was like, well, if you're going to do this, he goes, you got to make a living at it, because if it's not working, you got to do something else. Cause we're, living in a very expensive part of the country. And so I just took off, I don't know how I did it, just being present for the kids and everything, but I just was like, so I feel like going to conventions, learning as many formats as I could. I mean, I learned everything from pound. I was teaching pound for a while. And I think that's a big thing about manifesting, is that you just have to see yourself teaching it. I would see something, I'd be like when I was 30 girl with a spin, I'd be like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I tell my kids this too. It's like, you have to really, if you want this, you just need to see yourself doing it.
Yes. Oh, yes. You have to like visualize.
Yeah. I'm sure you deal with that with all the great things you've created,
Well, I don't want to interrupt your story, but the visualization is a huge part. I actually, in this moment, I'm connecting how I visualize with the word you're using, manifesting. Like I hadn't made that connection between those 2 practices before, but I do that personally. Like I visualize myself doing what it is I want to do, hope to do, or even I'm going to do, but want to do it well. So on a like tiny little small example, if I'm going to a conference to present, let's say IDEA, the first thing I do when I get there, I put my suitcase away. And everybody on the podcast knows I travel ugly. Like I don't get cute on the airplane. So I go, I'm not cute, put my luggage away, and I go find the room that I'm going to be the rooms, because it's multiple sessions that I lead. I go find the rooms. This is before people get there. This is before the conference starts, because I, of course, have to set up a booth and stuff like that. So this is pre-con. And I go and I find the room. I look in the room and I look at the stage. I look, is the stereo to the right? Oops, fireworks. If you're watching on Zoom, I, made it. I don't know what
Wow.
it's just a Zoom feature. You said you haven't used Zoom in a long time, so get ready. Sometimes like stuff happens like that now.
Okay.
So I'll go into the room. I'll be like, look, where's the stereo? Is it to the right? Is it to the left? And I literally like imagine the room full. I imagine myself standing there with confidence. I see it. I see it all in my mind. And I create a picture for myself of what I want it to look and feel like. And then I do that with each of the rooms. And then that's part of my preparation. That's part of what sets me up for success.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I would walk in and do well without having done that visualization piece. And I do that in other settings in fitness and in life too, but that's like a very small example. And so it didn't really occur to me until I was just hearing you speak that what I'm actually doing is manifesting my success.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it goes in whatever you want to do in life, whether it's fitness or, and something else. I think being at the stage of life that I was in starting later, it was like, you're going to do, if you're going to do this, you got to see yourself doing this. And things just, I know I'm not trying to make it sound easy. It's not easy, because I know it's, somebody could think, oh yeah, you think it's so easy just to see yourself doing it. It does work though. I feel like I'm, and you are living proof of it too. I feel it, it may you, although first, the other thing I say is you have to ask too. Never, I mean, things that I said, I saw myself presenting one day, when I was with Liber Fitness, another company called IntelliReal, now Stick Mobility. I'll get to that, what I manifested with that recently. But you can't wait. You can't wait for somebody to come up and say, hey, I want you to be part of this. You have to be present, and you have to say, I want to do this for you. I can do this. Let me do this. I want, like with Mark Liebert, I was like, I want to present for you. I was working with him, and I feel like somebody can say is no. And believe me, I've had no said to me a lot of times, but you just keep, if you want something bad enough, you just keep visualizing yourself saying it. I remember saying, I'm going to be up on that stage one day, even if it's just once, I'm going to do it. And I do believe if you really feel that in your body, it's going to happen. And I felt that with getting the job at Equinox too. I felt like one day I'm going to be a manager. I know I have to make a living. It's not that I love being a manager. It's the corporate thing, but I knew that in order for me to really, move forward in my life and where I want to go and make a career, I've got to learn how to be a manager. I've got to learn how to do other skills than just teaching.
Right.
So I believe it's just a big part of manifestation is actually, like you said, the visualization. And no, it's not going to work every time. It's like you try, it doesn't work. Okay, you go in a different direction.
Right.
Or you know what, I might go back and try again. And so just being persistent, if you have a passion for something, and this is what I have a passion for, is movement.
Another thing I like about your story, and I know this wasn't like the point. I mean, I know this wasn't like what the point of our episode was about, but you are a really great example of someone who can make a living in fitness doing what we love. And yeah, management isn't always fun, like,
Yeah.
but it's wonderful. It's a wonderful way to make a living doing, immersed in the group fitness realm, and there's other ways to do it too, but you're a good example of that, because I'm sure we have listeners that aspire to be able to walk away from their current situation or job and just work in fitness full time. And
Yeah.
someone who's
I
been
have had a lot of people ask me over the years, how I want to make this my career. How do I do this? And said, you have to keep learning. You have to keep growing. You have to keep networking.
yeah,
It's a constant growth.
another thing you said that resonates with me and that I appreciate you talking about is that you have tried lots of different things and formats. And
Mhm.
I think that's really important. And I too, like I've done over the 25 years of teaching, I've taught so many different things. I've exposed myself to so many different things. Do I love them all? No. Do I love one for a season or two and then move on to the
Absolutely.
next? Yes.
Yeah.
But all those things I've learned from all those different companies, all the different relationships and people I was able to connect to and network with, because of it. So I think that's just a really great takeaway for our listeners too, because it's really easy to be a group fitness instructor and just teach your one or two things that's all you ever do, stay in the same circles that you never get out of, stay in your
Right.
same town and not go invest into going to a convention or conference. It's really easy to just get stuck in a very narrow little small rut as an instructor. But it's also like the world is your oyster. There's so much out there. There's so
Yeah.
much out there. There's so many people, and that's part of moving up or moving on or achieving the next level of quote unquote success, is connecting to different people, because you just don't
Connection is huge.
everything.
Yeah.
It's everything. I mean, neither of
And
us.
being vulnerable, you have to let yourself be vulnerable. I mean, as group fitness instructors too, I feel like we get into this business for a lot of reasons. I mean, we love to exercise. But again, we all love to, I mean, we're the star of our room. We love that. I mean, I feel like that's part of a personality of us, is we love to inspire other people and to see joy on other people's faces and getting something out of this. But there's going to be times that you're going to be vulnerable, and you're not going to be number one. You have to just let yourself grow that way. And I think I see a lot of fitness instructors just getting beat down, and it's like, I'm getting tired of this. I can't do this anymore. And it's like, well, then it's time to grow in a different direction. And, maybe, try to get in with a company, like that's like, I mean, I work for Equinox, but also I feel like you have to have your little sideline things going on too. And that's what stick mobility is for me right now. It's kind of my baby on the side.
Okay, I actually want to go there next, but you made me think of something else too. When I also love Cycle. One of our formats is Cycle.
I
It's
love
called
it.
Warrior Revolution. But actually that is the format. Cycle in my life is the format that I've done from day one. It's the through line. Like I've done this, done that, like Cycle since day one. Anyway, cycling, especially the way I used to teach it back in the day, when I used to teach more traditional, like all we're going to be doing is adding a gears,
Yeah,
resistance, playing with position, playing with speed, 3 variables for an hour.
right.
People, it would be easy to like maybe get bored, in a class, because you're not doing a lot. So anyway, I used to think and even say, if you're feeling bored, work harder, like give yourself more resistance, because you cannot feel bored. It's not possible to
Right.
feel bored when you are pushing yourself to your limits, working as hard as you can, because it's thrilling and invigorating, and it's a distraction. It takes your whole. And so if you struggle with boredom in a moment of class, in that moment, work a little harder. So give yourself a little more resistance. And that is like a perfect analogy to what you're saying about your
Yeah.
career. Like if you're stuck, or like you were just talking about instructors. Did I lose you? Did I freeze on your end? Are you there? Our internet dropped, but let's keep it rolling. We'll keep it rolling.
Yeah, what you're saying about cycles, so true.
Yes, because it's the same thing with our life. Like if you were talking about how some people get stuck in a rut, and it's the same thing with like the boredom factor in my class. Like if not in my class per se, but like if you that analogy of like if you're struggling with like, oh, boredom, like make yourself a little bit more uncomfortable. It's the
Yeah.
same thing professionally. So
You
anyway,
absolutely have to make yourself uncomfortable. I mean, you have to go out of your comfort zone
yeah,
to grow in anything. And again, in our industry, the fitness industry, it's tough. It's a lot of competition out there. There's so many. I look at my team of instructors, every single one of them is a rock star. I mean, I only hire rock stars. I try to only rock, I do my best. But I mean, when people say to me, who is this a good person to go to? Absolutely. Yes. Every single person here is good. But they're all people who've been seasoned for a while too. You work towards that. You work towards that. But there's going to be times where you're going to be vulnerable and you're not always going to be everybody's cup of tea. And you have to be able to have this in the fitness industry, is have thick skin. And I don't know, for me being older, I'm not trying, I'm just saying this, I am a different generation that, is what maybe helps me kind of keep pushing, because I knew that this was limited time for me. If I'm going to do this, I got to do it.
that's right.
But no matter how old you are, I have instructors that are young college students, and I'm like, do it now. You can have a long career if you want to do this. You can do this. The industry is growing so greatly. So anyway, by the way, I still teach cycle too. I teach a class called Anthem, which is all musically driven beats. I did the cycle bar thing for a while. I don't know if you guys have cycle bars up there,
We do.
but I mean, I'm a rhythmic writer. I'm one of those beboppers.
Me too. Speaking of, I actually am going to go teach here shortly. So
Okay,
I know
let's
you know,
move on.
I know you know this, but I have to wrap it up soon so that I can make it. Debbie and I had a really hard time finding a time together to do this episode, so I squished it in right before one. I actually am going to go teach 3 classes.
Oh my gosh.
It's revolution, it's cycle, then it's rhythm, which is our yoga inspired, and then it's roots, which is our senior program. So I promise, when I say I'm going to go teach 3 classes, I'm not overtraining. Okay, I promise.
Okay.
Okay, but I did want to learn about stick mobility. So in our little bit of time we have left, what in the world is stick mobility and how did you get involved?
Well, you met Steve, right? So
Yes.
was this at a convention or okay? So stick mobility is basically, it's functional mobility training, and it's working. It looks simple, these long sticks, but but it's unbelievable the type of training you can do with these sticks. When I met Dennis and Neil, the creators, met them at a convention in Scottsdale. And it was right when I was hired with Equinox. By the way, I teach this class at Equinox. We have the sticks. We call it Best Stretch Ever. And that it was interesting when I met him, I was like, oh my God, these are fantastic. Not only can you do lengthening, you can strengthen, it's balance, agility, core. You can do a full body workout with these sticks. It's hard to explain. The best way is to actually take a class and feel it. But that's what I would say. This is more than just flexibility. You can do full on body training, a lot of prep work. A lot of athletes, a lot of pro athlete teams are starting to work with them. It's just grown so greatly. But when I met him, I said, wow, this is amazing. I mean, so I'm always looking for something new and great, but this blew me away. Some of the things they were showing me. And I said, I just got hired at Equinox. And I go, God, I could see this at Equinox. And they looked at me and they're like, guess what? We just signed a contract with Equinox. You guys are going to be featuring a class with it. So it was crazy. So I did the certification for the class with Equinox, but I felt like it wasn't tapping into really the whys and the hows. I mean, really, it was more like just on the surface. Teach this class, I liked it, but so many instructors were like, this doesn't make sense to me, that I ended up being one of the only ones that actually started teaching the class at Berkeley. But I wanted to learn more, so I decided their headquarters are in Campbell, which is only about an hour and a half from where I live. That's their headquarters. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go get certified with them. So I went down, ended up doing level 1. certification. It was 2 days. It was the most grueling I mean, I've done so many certification. I learned so much from them. I felt like the education was fantastic. And I was so shocked by what we could do with the partner training. I mean, there's so much you could do. So it was a 2-day training, became level 1, went back to Equinox, started teaching the class, and members were like, oh my God, this is like my favorite class. And it's still the number 1 utilized class right now. It's always at waitlisted. So I wanted to learn more. So I went back and became a level 2 coach.
Okay.
And it just catapulted. I mean, it was just like the class was like Equinox. There was a film made. I sent you that film. One of a film student wanted to film me teaching it. And so trying to shorten it a bit here, I became a level 2 coach, just stayed in touch with Dennis and Neil. And then the pandemic hit. We shut down, closed our doors, and Equinox was closed for a year. My club was closed for a full year. I was not working. And so I went on Instagram and I noticed that Dennis and Neil were doing these live Instagram classes for people, and they were 45 minutes. And I started doing them with them. I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep moving here. I had my sticks at home. And then I reached out to Dennis. I'm like, do you want somebody else? This is where you have to, I'm like, they're going to think, why would they want me to do it? They're like, this is their company. So I said, do you want somebody else to help you out with this?
And
Like
you get to
teaching.
ask, you put yourself out there.
Yeah. And Dennis was like, his reply, yes, can you come to Los Gatos or can you come to Campbell? So what happened is for that whole entire year and then beyond, even going back, I became their Thursday morning Instagram girl. So it was my way to get out of the house. I go down to Los Gatos, which is about an hour and a half. They put me up in the Los Gatos Inn. I had a night to myself. I'd wake up in the morning, go to their studio and teach
There's
class.
nothing like being in a hotel room by yourself. It's
It
one of
was, and Los Gatos it's a beautiful town. It's just, anyway, so that's how I got in with them. I became one of their, and I still have about 60 something classes on YouTube, along with a few other coaches.
If you want to give me a link to one I could put in the show notes, because I do agree with you. It's hard to visualize this format. So we can just stick one in the show notes, everybody, and then you can get a good visual.
I mean, I sent you a link of the film.
Yeah,
but really seeing the class yeah, I can do that. So that's how I got to know them. And then when we everybody reopened and Idea World was back. It was in Vegas. They asked me to go with them and present with them and demo things. So I got to be part of that and work their booth, and
which never would have happened had you not put yourself out there.
asked, just, do you want me to help you? Can I teach for you? And I'm thinking they're going to look at me and like, what makes her think? I don't know. I mean, you doubt yourself like it.
Right.
I am bored. I need something to do. I mean, I did the online things with other companies. It was just whatever, but I enjoyed it so much. So so they went through a business change with management, and they brought in Steve, who you met. And so Steve and Brian, they both come from TRX. And so they started diving into.
Doesn't surprise me, because there's something, and I see you have in your background, I see you have a Viper too.
I just became a Viper Elite coach.
There's something about the stick that, okay, put a pin in about meeting them. Can you actually, for the audience and for me, just because I haven't done a class with the stick, how long and thick is it? Is it like 6 feet long? Like, and it bends?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about.
You want me to grab it? It's right there.
I do. Okay. And I'll help describe, because we have mostly listeners and not.
I've got my lever, my Viper.
It's taller than she is.
Okay, so this is the thick.
Oh my gosh, it's like as long as like an oar. And
Can you see it? Okay, let me take my glasses
I can. Like 2 feet taller than her head.
6.5 foot stick. So I'll just show you the bow and arrow. Bow and arrow is like their signature move. So it's very flexible. So right here, I know, I wish you could see the whole thing.
Okay.
I'm making sweats, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
So you push into, they're very flexible, but right now what's happening is I'm doing static strength right here, just by holding it. and then lengthening at the same time. So it's lengthening, strengthening at the same time. It's very flexible. I mean, there's a move called, we do hanging monkeys where we can actually hang from the stick and lengthen.
Wow.
So I mean, it goes on and on and on. But that's, yeah, this is their latest stick. This was my Christmas gift.
And then
Steve,
that's
he gave
my
me
timer.
set of new sticks.
I'm pausing my timer. That means
Okay.
that's my message to me. Hurry up, teach. But wait, we have a couple more minutes. So there's like rubber ends so that it doesn't
Yes.
sit on the floor.
It's got a rubber end, and then it's like a piece, I don't know, it's plastic or whatever it is, but it's very pliable. And it's used for stability, strength, length, I mean, you can use it, a lot of Pilates moves. I've done a yoga flow with this. It stabilizes through a vinyasa flow. I've pulled that off in my class, and the yogis that come to my class are like, oh my God, I can get into triangle like you would not believe. So it's so many uses for it.
Wow. But okay, so you were saying that before I ask you to kind of show what it looked like and stuff like that, you were saying that they came from a TRX background, maybe?
Yes, Steve and Brian. So they started kind of going into the archives of their video of Stick Mobility's videos and pulled up some of my videos that from the YouTube. And they reached out to me and they're like, Debbie, we want to talk to you more about, what's going on at Equinox, because I sent them the data, how well the class is doing. And it's at other clubs too. I actually helped develop Best Stretch on a corporate level for the company because they knew I had this background. So it's an actual signature class at Equinox that is different than from what we do with Stick Mobility. It's hard. It's like there's athletic stretch and best stretch. So Steve, so over the years, I want to say since we reopened, so I've been telling Dennis and Neil, they're strength coaches. They're focused more on strength, athletes, personal training. And I said, the class is doing so well at Equinox. We really should have a program that taps in just training, showing the principles and fundamentals of how the sticks work for group fitness. And group fitness instructors are a different breed, like we want to move, we want visual, we want it fast too. So yeah. I just said, I think, you're missing we need to tap into the group fitness industry, not just strength. Like the training I did was pretty intensive and it's not for everybody. I think because I'm a personal trainer, it made sense to me. Yeah, and not that group fitness people, it's not going to make sense, but it's if you're not a personal trainer, and especially if you're new into the group fitness world, you want a training that's basic and makes sense and understandable, right? So I've been asking him, can I help you? Can I help you come up with a training that is not very long, not 2 days, maybe 4 to 6 hours,
Time out. Here you go. Asking again. Maybe
yes.
Ask. Okay, go ahead.
So I've been asking for 2 years, maybe almost 3 years. So Steve reached out to me and said, Debbie, we've seen your videos and this is really cool. Tell us more about your involvement with Stick Mobility. And I told him about wanting to do this. And he made it happen. He said, okay. And so he flew me down to San Diego and I met with Jeff McMullen and another gal named Mary Beth. And so there's 3 of us and we just brainstormed and I created Athletic Flow. So Athletic Flow is their new training that they have and it's targeted to the group fitness community. We did our first training here in Marin. And then Mary Beth did one in Texas. And so now moving forward, Jeff, between the 3 of us, we're hoping that we can start doing some traveling and doing this training for group fitness.
That's so exciting. Okay, I have a question for you before we get into your confession.
Oh gosh.
So I recently had an episode on with Sabrina, and she works with Jump Sport and they do group fitness on trampolines. It's really cool. So it's like a unique specialty niche. Like what I love about this Stick Mobility is it's very novel. So it's something that a club could have that is unique and niche and novel and will set them apart from other maybe competitors or clubs in town. Not to mention it's does all those things that you said, strength, mobility, flexibility, all that stuff. So how would a club, if a club was interested in getting certified, is that curriculum and stuff already developed, or are you guys still in the works?
It's developed. We're ready to go. We're ready to go.
If a club wanted to host a training, what would that look like, or how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, they could get in touch with me. They could go directly to the Stick Mobility website. It's all on there that you could click on there. It says, do you want to host a training? So it's ready to rock and roll. And
amazing.
Steve helped develop that. So
so also presumably on that website, the club would order 40 or whatever bulk sticks for their facility.
Yes, if they don't have the sticks, like that with the Bay Club, when we did it with the Bay Club. So yes, that's part of it. And I believe they work with the club and work the pricing and cost. The certification for the instructor, I think is only $120 for 6 hours. So it's a really economic, comparatively, I think it's really reasonable. But yes, I think they did that because of getting the sticks too.
And then does the club have to have a license for it, like lessons, or is it license free like us? Okay, that's great. What an amazing thing you guys are bringing the industry. It's
a game changer. It's one of the best things when I'm teaching a class, especially to somebody new, and especially when I did the training for these group fitness instructors that had never touched it, is the aha moment of like, especially like going into bow and arrow, the move I just showed you, but there's so many others. It's kind of like, I didn't realize that my body could lengthen that way. And it feels good. And I mean, people after class leave there going, what just happened? I felt like I had I experienced some out of body experience. It's really amazing. And I think that's what's helped me keep my body healthy with everything I do with cycle, bar, Pilates, all the, strength training and HIIT classes. This is what has helped me stay mobile for sure.
Really, really cool. And we do have a lot of managers and operators that listen to the show. And I think it's really cool to get out of the box of at your gym, just having dumbbells, step benches and risers, bars and plates with clips, like bring in something new and novel, whether it's a trampoline or stick mobility or TRX classes or Vipers, like it's really cool. And
mobility matters these days. And I think the fitness industry is getting, and even the general population is starting to realize we need to do more than sagittal movements.
That's right. I mean, I love some cycle, but we got to get out of the sagittal plane.
Yep.
I am so blown away. Like, for the sake of the audience, the benefit of the audience, Debbie and I had never talked before. I'd never seen her. I never saw her.
Now we're going to talk a lot, I think.
And she sent me a video. I clicked on it. I saw like a little bit of her moving with the stick and I read her credential. I'm like, okay, this is going to be really cool. And I knew Steve, or had met Steve, again, networking. But this is actually amazing. I mean, it's so cool. I love your story about not just the power of manifestation and visualization, but something that, like a through line that kept coming up as you were talking to us, to me, to our audience, is just ask for the opportunity. My mom would say, you already have a no. If you don't ask, it's already no. You already have the no. So by asking, the only thing that could happen is that you could get a yes. And so I just look at what you have done with your life. It's amazing. You have a full-time career in fitness, group fitness. It's the, song in our hearts.
Yes.
And then you have this like thing on the side, this passion project that is so exciting. And I love our industry, and it makes me happy to see someone like you bringing a breath of fresh air and some newness, and you and the whole team at Stick Mobility. I know it's not just your baby, but okay. Well, do you have a confession? My shows end in a confession.
I know you, I saw that and I was like, I have confessions, but I don't know if I can't air them. And okay, so I know. I was thinking, do I want would you take a fun fact or
Yeah,
a
sure.
confession?
It could be a fun fact, or I mean, you confess something to me that I could tell. But go.
Okay, this may be, I knew you said it could be silly, whatever. And so it's a kind of a silly confession of mine is, and I don't know, it may seem stupid, I don't know, but I'm going to show a picture of what I do all the time. And I'm really going vulnerable here.
Wait, put it back in front of the camera. What is that? It's a mask? What is that? Is it a face mask?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm addicted to those masks because I think that's going to help me keep looking younger. So I wear them all.
That is so
I walk around the house with them. I sent this picture to this was an oxygen one. And
okay.
some of them are actually really good. I've done the Korean glass masks and everything. So, my confession, I guess I'm just going to reveal it because I said I started in the 40s, in my early 40s. This next week is my birthday and I'm going to be 61.
No way.
Yeah.
No
I don't.
way.
Yeah.
Give me all the masks that you're using because they're clearly working. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, I think that this industry just movement matters. I mean, well, you're beautiful, I mean, it's just like, I think that, yeah, so that's my confession. And
Wow.
you better cut this part out. No.
No, I'm not cutting it out. Wow, that's funny. And so you are addicted to those masks. I'm
a skincare junkie. I mean, it's not, I feel like, that's, when I have my girlfriend saying, okay, because I have 5 women coming to my house tonight for a party for me. And they're like, we want your secret. We want your secret. And I'm like, it's hard work. It's not just, I wake up this way. It's hard work,
Yeah. Well, when I emailed you this morning to make sure we were still on,
I said, I'm working.
You're like, I'm working. You're like, I'm trying to look like a human right now. I'm like, okay, I'll see you in a few seconds.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining and sharing
Thank you.
incredible, inspiring story and talking about vulnerability and manifesting and the power of asking. I'm sorry that we had the internet was funky on.
That's the internet, Zoom life. Yeah. Not too bad.
So where can people follow Stick Mobility and where can they find you?
Well, on Instagram and YouTube, Facebook, just stickmobility.com. For me, it's a Debbie F as in Frank Gleeson, just all one word on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook too often anymore, but I use Instagram as my main platform. I'm not big into TikTok yet. Instagram's it for me.
Same. Me too.
So yeah, and if anybody has any questions about with Stick Mobility, they can hit me up or just reach out to Stick Mobility. It's all the same. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you and have a wonderful day. And I'm sure I'll see you at IDEA this year.
You won't this year. I know it's in Sacramento. This year I'm going to be on vacation at that time. I'm so bummed. I want to go, but we'll stay connected for sure.
Yeah, our worlds will collide, I'm sure. All right. Bye. Bye, Debbie. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining in on the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. If you're interested in becoming a warrior instructor, go to warriorinstructors.com. But if you want more and found this episode amazing, please give us a rating. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. So remember, be brave, be bold, be blessed. And above all, listen, learn, love.